The Rip City Drive.
All right, time for some Holton on Hoops. Former Trailblazer and current radio and television analyst Michael Holton is joining the Rip City Drive once again. Our guy last night, Michael, Deni Avdija, balling out of his mind, 30 points, 9 rebounds. What'd you think about that performance against Milwaukee?
Come on, man. Deni, it was so good, it was so special. But Milwaukee came in with a game plan that they were going to rough him up and be physical with Deni. And we asked Deni about it in the walk-up interview after the game, and he said, he said, it made me smile. He said, it was a compliment. He basically said, I'm built for this. Deni Avdija is a special player, and I've been waiting for the league to kind of take notice that he's physical and that he has to move up your scouting report when you play the Blazers.
Oh, there's no question. And you know there are a lot of teams out there right now that would love to have Deni Avdija. You mentioned something on the broadcast tonight I want you to expand upon because I'm noticing it in games. But you were talking about how Deni does a great job of getting a defender out of position where he's not in legal guarding position. And then in that situation, he uses his physicality to get to a spot, usually right at the rim. So is that something that players can do? If you get a guy out of legal guarding position, do the refs allow you to be a little more physical in those spots?
Yes, and getting fouled is a skill. You know, I say, and I don't know if you really understand what that means. The ability to get fouled. And so Deni Avdija, most players on dribble penetration, particularly when they Euro step, they want to avoid the defense. Most offensive players in the NBA design moves to avoid contact. Deni Avdija designs moves to dislodge you. When you are not in legal guarding position, he takes advantage of it, and he delivers the blow. He's a player that can hurt you with his offense. Trust me, guys in the league, when the game is over, they're sitting on their stool like, man, that dude is a beast. And I feel like I've just been in a boxing match because he delivers the blow time in and time out.
Yeah, it's terrific. I really love watching him play. You know, the Blazers last night, you took note of this number, but they out-rebounded the Bucks 52-36. Rebounding's been an issue throughout the course of the year, and there'll be different points in time where Coach Billups has emphasized it. But what were they doing differently last night to have such great success with the glass?
So, Chad, where the focus goes, the energy flows. Chauncey has talked about rebounding with his team all season long, right? Sometimes, you know, the message landed. Other times, it either landed and they didn't get it done. Well, now it's landing and they're getting it done. Rebounding is one of the energy and effort parts of the game. Right? Your defense is not over until you wrap up a defensive rebound. But offensive rebounding is a whole different animal, if you will. Because to get an offensive rebound, your team has to manipulate the defense, get people out of position, but then you got to be willing to go through somebody to get that rebound. And so there's a different level of toughness or tact to offensive rebounding. I mean, DeAndre Ayton last night I thought really put on the clinic. He had, 6 offensive rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds, something like that. But yeah, he had 5 offensive rebounds. And DeAndre Ayton is, generally speaking, not a physical guy. He's not a guy. He's not Deni Avdija. He's not coming into the game like, I'm going to really lay this down on some people. But he has even bought into the fact that rebounding is critically important to this team's success.
You know, one thing I'm really excited about right now, Michael, the 5 young guys, Avdija, Tamani Kamara, who have been sensational, Donovan Clingan, who was terrific last night with his defense and his rebounding, and then you've got Scoot and Shaden, who are making progress. What are your thoughts on the job that Coach Billups and his staff have done at working with and developing the young players, those 5?
Well, I think that was at the start of this season, that it was a season of development, and the organization wanted to see what they could do, really, with the whole team, but those guys you just talked about.
Yeah.
And Chauncey Billups and his staff, in my opinion, have turned the corner with this team. Doesn't mean they're going to keep winning at the rate they're winning, but when you see role identification, when you see guys consistently, Tamani Kamara consistently is a lockdown defender. Deni Avdija is consistent at what he does. DeAndre Ayton is consistent at what he does. Jabari Walker knows when he gets minutes what he has to do to stay on the floor. But let's look at Shaden Sharp and Scoot Henderson. I think they're the best exhibits for this, right? So these are guys at the beginning of the year I think most people thought would start, and they thought Scoot would play and start regardless of how well he played, that he's the future, and that's how it's going to be. Chauncey Billups has coached this team, and I see some of Larry Brown and what he's doing. Clear about roles and what you have to do to earn minutes, and about putting an address on your progress, and then assigning minutes accordingly.
That's terrific. Michael Holton was with us. Now, I think I heard you maybe mention to Travis, you're going to the All-Star game this year?
I will be at the All-Star game. That is correct.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, we were just talking about this on the show, and, the game has changed a lot over the years compared to what I remember from the late 80s and early 90s, where there's not the same level of competition that we used to see in that game. So I want to ask you, how do you think we got to this point in the All-Star game where there's less competition, and what would you like to see, or what can be done to maybe get back to that a little bit?
Great question. The game has changed from a standpoint of its entertainment value and the fraternization of players. Now guys have the same agent. They work out together. They're probably involved in business deals together. There's a fraternity feel to the league today. Everybody's buddies, right? And I'm not saying you shouldn't be friends, but they're peers, and it's a unique group. 400. There's only 400 guys, I guess, in the league. So that means those 400 guys don't have any other peers, right? There's not 400 other guys doing what they do. So I understand it. I get it. But, Chad, what has changed is the competitiveness. Because, back in the day, we could be friends, but when it came to game time, we didn't talk. We didn't go to dinner. And if we got matched up, I'm trying to give you the business. And so I think something has softened about the competition level and the consistency of competition. And I think the All-Star game highlights it, unfortunately.
Yeah, no doubt. We're talking with Michael Holton on Hoops here on the Rip City Drive. I think the All-Star game this year is down at Chase Center in San Francisco. I have not been to the new building. They were building it when I was still down there. How nice is that crib?
Oh, it's nice. It's nice. Right on the water. Yeah. When you pull up to Chase Center, you're like, man, this is going to be a nice night, right?
Yes, I like that.
I mean, new arenas. I look at, what is the Clippers' new arena called?
Yeah, Intuit Dome. You called a game down there at Intuit Dome. You said it was awesome.
Yeah, you go in these new buildings, man, and it's like, whoa. And so the Chase Center is one of those spots because what happens in new buildings is they really lean into the fan experience differently. So what happens on the concourse, traditionally concourses are circular and you go around, you find where you sit and you go down. Well, these newer buildings, they're not cut in a straight circle, right? You can veer off the path and go here, and there's a club, and the whole dining experience is different, and the activations in the arena change the experience.
That's terrific. We're talking with Michael Holton here on the Rip City Drive. Yeah, Intuit Dome. I can't wait to get down there. That one looks absolutely spectacular. All right, the Trailblazers now 5-1 in their last 6 games. What's the next step for Chauncey Billups as they continue to push forward towards the second half of the season? I mean, what are you asking these young guys to do? Just continue to build on what they've done thus far?
Yeah, I think consistency is the goal. I think keeping these guys locked in to the task at hand and keeping them now, from getting distracted because, losing can be a distraction, but so can winning, right? You can start pulling up thinking, we can beat these dudes. If we just do this, we'll be okay. You got to stay engaged and understand the assignment because the assignment changes every night, right? The next game is going to be different than the last game in terms of the game plan and the game plan discipline because opponents are different. So Chauncey and his staff's challenge now, and that's really not the best word to use, is to keep these guys locked into the thing that's right in front of them.
All right, I've got one more question for you. You mentioned this; it's a technical question, but I want you to explain it because I thought it was interesting. Last night during the game, the Blazers were having an issue when Giannis would put his shoulder down and drive at the rim, and you were talking about how in those situations when you got a guy of his size with his athleticism attacking the rim, that you need to have your defender matched up with 2 other guys to where I forgot how you worded it, like where you have less separation from your body so he doesn't have a lane to attack in. Explain how you would attack Giannis in those spots where he's trying to get downhill.
So the Blazers did it on some occasions. What I was trying to say, and it's hard on radio, you just don't have enough window of time to unpack situations. So you have to close the gaps. So between 2 defensive players is a gap.
Yes.
Right? Giannis sees that gap, and he usually sees it as he's already got a head of steam. He just runs to the gap, and he's so big and he's so strong that there's nothing you can do at that point. So you have to close the gap. You have to basically stand side by side like bowling ball pins. And put your hands up, and you got to discourage him from seeing a gap. And I call it early help, early recover. You got to show Giannis multiple defenders early when he's at the three-point line. Once he has a head of steam, there's no stopping him.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So if you close the gap and you've got that proper separation, if he lowers his shoulder and tries to attack, he'll probably get called for the offensive foul because you're in good guarding position, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're in legal guarding position. But what you really want to do, and I'm talking like it's easy, right? If it's easy, every team in the league would be doing it. You're trying to discourage him from penetrating. You want him to look and say, "Oh man," and make a pass and say, it's not available this time. You played a numbers game with guys like Giannis, the stars in the league. You're not going to stop them, but you want to keep them from being the deciding factor in victory or defeat.
Michael Holton, Hold On Hoops. All right, I'm going to cut you loose now because, one, you're a gamer for joining the show because I know you're a little bit under the weather, but you got to save yourself for tomorrow. We got another game coming up, buddy.
No question, man. So I'm getting game ready. I'm drinking tea. I'm going to bed early. I'm reading over my notes. I'm acting like a player. I told my wife, I got to go to bed early today, tomorrow, pregame meal. Okay.
No, it's good, man. I love it, dude. Thanks for coming on, and I'll see you tomorrow at the arena.
All right, man. Take care.
There you go. Michael Holton, Holton on Hoops.